Chris Gronkowski, Mitch Jackson, how are you doing today? It's good to have you on the show.
Hey, Mitch. Thanks for having me on today.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to meet young guys and gals that are starting their entrepreneurial careers or business careers, especially with a bang like you are. Okay, you're taking what you learned on the football field at the University of Arizona and in the NFL, and you're bringing it into the business world. And that's why I wanted to have you on. And hopefully you can share some tips of wisdom with my audience, both live and recorded, to help them on their business journeys. And we're going to have some fun. You guys, I'm going to give Chris just a quick introduction. I want to invite your questions, your comments into the show. I will ask Chris your questions, and hit the share button, you guys. Share this out and share all the good things that Chris Gronkowski is doing in the world. For those of you that don't know Chris, he is a husband, a father of 3, and an entrepreneur. He's a football player that spent some time down at the University of Arizona. Chris, bear down.
Baby, that's right.
That's right, baby. I had turned a 4-year degree into a 5-year experience at that school. And 3 years in the NFL with the Cowboys, the Colts, and the Broncos. And now he is the owner and brains behind this new company, Ice Shaker, which makes the perfect bottle for everything. It's not just for the gym or protein shakes. The stainless steel and odor-free Ice Shaker is spill-proof. It's easy to carry and vacuum insulated. Whether you're at home or on the go, this container will keep your drink cold for up to 30 hours. I'm all sold on this product. It's going to be under my Christmas tree, and the Christmas trees are my friends for the holidays, Chris. And that's exciting. Listen, just before I jump into our first question, you guys, I love the questions that are coming. Chris, we have a lot of questions coming in. I know we have a
where they at?
I'm just telling you, like, Chris is giving me 30 to 40 minutes, you guys, but maybe we can twist his arm. It depends on how the show goes, I'm sure. Chris was on Shark Tank, and this is really cool, you guys. I have a quote here from one of your investors, Alex Rodriguez, A-Rod, you guys. And what A-Rod said on CNBC is that investing in Chris was a good decision. He's been terrific. He's under-promised and over-delivered. Our sales have done incredibly well. Listen to what A-Rod said. He's under-promised and over-delivered. Chris, that's the ticket right there. Am I right?
Absolutely. No, 100%. You can't just make all these promises and not fulfill them. So it's stuff where, as an entrepreneur, Christmas is coming up, right? The holiday rush is coming. I was just talking to someone about how I'm kind of hoping that I don't have to pull all-nighters this year, but this time I'm kind of hoping I do have to. But we put a ton of planning into it this year. We have a great staff. We have a new building that we just moved into, and I think we're ready. But everyone keeps saying this might be the biggest holiday ever. So if I'm pulling all-nighters, it's definitely a good thing, and I'm going to be pretty excited about it.
I have a hunch after being in business for 34 years and an entrepreneur for about 40 years, that you're going to be pulling a lot of all-nighters. You've got a great product, you've got a great brand, and you've got a lot of enthusiasm. And that's where I wanted to start. Talk to us a little bit about, after your NFL career, what made you decide, because I'm sure you had different options out there. What made you decide, you know what, I want to start my own business or businesses, because I know you've got more than one business. I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to work for someone else. What was your mindset? Why did you make that decision?
Man, really, I got lucky is what I tell everyone. 3 teams, actually 4 teams in 4 years. And my girlfriend at the time, decided after the 3rd team that she wasn't going to find another job. She was sick of doing these interviews, and she just wanted to find a way to work from home. So that turned into really, it was a hand painting wine glasses out of the house. And I thought she was crazy. I thought it was the worst idea ever, but it was filling her time, and it was something she loved doing. So pretty soon they started selling so fast she couldn't keep up. She had to find a way to scale it. And at that same time, my 3rd year was done. My contract was up, and I was looking for a new team. So I started looking into it as well, and just realized there was a great opportunity there for personalized gifts, and really started to put some time and effort into it, and then some money from my NFL career into it, and found out really quickly that it was a great opportunity. So My first 5 years after the NFL, I was with my wife doing personalized gifts, and it was crazy. I didn't tell anyone I was doing it. I kind of felt like, I was this macho football player, and now I'm engraving wedding gifts. So when my friends would ask, I just kind of wouldn't tell them what I was doing. Kind of just told them I was doing my own thing. And my own thing was a huge success. In the first year, I was making more outside the NFL than I was playing in the NFL, and we just continued to grow it. It was out of our house in our spare bedroom where our kids, little nursery room is now. I was working 80 hours a week out of that room, just grinding it out. And after 2 years, it became too big for the house. Our 3-car garage was completely full, and we had to move into a building. And it's just continued to grow from there. But 5 years in, kind of thought of this other idea, my passion, and went for it with Ice Shaker.
Well, I'm hearing 80-hour weeks. I'm hearing spare bedroom, making it happen when you needed to make it happen. Chris, I started my practice out of the back of my car in Laguna Beach. I was playing basketball all day down at Main Beach, and then I had 1 or 2 law clients, and I just kind of made it happen, right? Kind of hustling those first couple of years. Speaking about making things happen, mutual friend, Bernard Nomberg, Alabama work comp lawyer. Bernard's a dear friend of mine, Chris. That's where I saw you on Bernard's show talking about work comp cases in the NFL. Bernard, it's good to see you, my man. He's one of the good guys in the world. Chris, if you don't mind me diving a little bit deeper into Ice Shaker, and while we're talking about it, I want to bring your website up and share it with the world, okay? Because what you're talking about is those long hours that you put in. Hang on, let me get rid of this. Bear with me for a second. You put in to start this company. It's something that has ended up to where you are today. So tell us a little bit about Ice Shaker while I'm clicking through the website, where the idea came from, maybe how you perfected some of the things that you're doing with Ice Shaker, and also, why you guys set up the website the way that you did. And here it is. It's displaying for the world to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's, really, it started just as a passion project for me. It was something I wanted for myself. I was going to the gym every day for the most part, sometimes twice a day. And I was here in Texas, and it was 100 degrees out. I went to the gym. The bottle was sweating everywhere. I took a sip. It was warm. And at that point, I just said, man, there's got to be something out there that's better than this. The technology's there to keep it cold. It's been the same plastic bottle for over 20 years. And I went on this journey, really thought the journey was going to be go home, go on Amazon, and find a bottle that I actually liked using. But that wasn't the case. I went on. There was just nothing that was easy to fill, easy to shake, easy to clean. And it really was just looking for one bottle that I could use all day, every day, bring it to the office, bring it to the gym, use it by the pool, and just wasn't there. So I went on this journey, and 20 prototypes later, man, a lot more work than you thought. And all of a sudden I had 10,000 units at my house, actually in this room here. And I was going through them and found out really quickly that I needed to do some better quality control because about half of them were leaking, and that was the start of my company, man. So day one was an absolute grind. A lot of people looked at it and said, hey, it must have been great that you had a big following and that, it's probably a good start for business. And really at the end of the day, it wasn't. We might have sold 1 or 2 bottles that first week. And that's when it really hit me that, hey, no matter how great your product is, no matter who you are, it doesn't matter. People aren't just going to buy it and trust the product if they've never heard of it before. So that's when I knew I had to get to work.
Well, 20 or so different prototypes, bringing an established, known name into this new product. And what I'm hearing is it was still a heck of a lot of work, right? And that's kind of like the entrepreneurs and young business owners listening right now. I've helped over 200 startups, Chris, over the years, and I can tell you without exception, every single successful startup was a result of hard work. Hard work, and a few other things, maybe even a little luck involved. How did you know when the Ice Shaker concept was going to work for you? When did it crystallize? Like, you know what, this is a great idea and it's going to take off?
Yeah. Like I said, at first, sales weren't great. I thought I was just going to throw some posts on social media. And I thought I was, maybe if I get 1% of my following to buy, we'd be crushing, thousands of bottles. But wasn't the case at all. Maybe 1 or 2 the first week. And that's when I started going to shows. And that's where, I had to just really prove it, prove that the product was something people wanted.
What kind of shows?
So I started with local bodybuilding shows.
Mhm.
I figured if I can go there, people are used to protein shakers, and the whole idea was let's take a plastic one and let's take the ice shaker and let's just hand it to people and see what they think. So filled both up with ice in the morning, and throughout the day, we just, as people walk by, say, hey, please check out the product, and actually hand it to them. And the best thing ever that happened was people would just say, there's no way there's ice in this. And they'd actually twist off the top, open it up, see the ice in there. And then it was kind of like, boom, their mind was blown, and they started buying. So at that point, it was that proof of concept that we needed. And at that point, we just had to figure out how to repeat that experience for people through online with videos and other concepts.
So, Chris, did you get feedback when you initially rolled out this product? 20 prototypes are showing up at these shows, at the bodybuilder events, and what have you. Did people give you feedback that you incorporated into the next version of the product?
Yeah.
And was that tough to hear? Or did you have to change your mindset in order to approach, the concept development?
Yeah. So the initial feedback on anything is going to come from your family and friends, right? So the very first bottle that came in was super basic. It was basically a cup with just a lid on it. And everyone told me how great it was, right? Because it was family and friends that I was giving it to. So, I knew there was a lot to be desired still with it. And then as real customer feedback started coming in, we used all that, everything that people asked for over and over, colors that people asked for, different features that they asked for as well. We started to incorporate into it. So we didn't have a handle on the bottle. We didn't have a way to actually break up protein at first. We didn't have measurement markings inside of it. And all these things were suggested to us by our customers within the first couple months. So at month 6 was actually when I got on ABC's Shark Tank. And then from there, I had a couple months to actually redo the bottle and try to get it ready for this massive launch. And I used all that feedback and incorporated it into this version 2 that we had, which soon actually became version 3 that we have now.
So in version 3, we can pick up through the website, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So
okay. And I'm going to share the link, you guys. I'll share the link in the show notes for the podcast version of this live video. I'll share all of Chris's links so you guys can click and pick up gifts for the holiday season. Talk to us a little bit about Shark Tank. We all love that show. We watch it on TV. I've talked to some people that have been on it, and they're like, Mitch, what you see on TV is nothing like what really happened. It's a lot longer. You're seeing a condensed version. Share with the audience what your experience was like on the show.
Yeah, you're seeing the good stuff.
You're seeing the good stuff.
My 4 brothers run out of the back room. Let's do a chest bump, play flip cup against the Sharks. What you're not seeing is, like you said, almost an hour probably of really being drilled down on, really interview style. What did you do before the NFL? What did you do during it? What did you do in college? Really everything you could possibly know about me, they knew by the end of it. And they're putting real money into it, and they're not just doing it for fun. So they want to know the real stuff, and they don't show all that on the show. I mean, there was even further offers on the show that they took off. So they want the most exciting stuff, but it's the real deal at the end of the day. It's real money. The exposure is real. The proof of concept is huge. To have all 5 Sharks offer us, it was pretty much a signal for anyone else watching to go buy the product, and that's what they did. And the one thing I guess people don't realize is that you're not just sitting there on a private island after you get an offer from the Sharks. They don't come in and take over your company. You're still running all of it. And for me, it was really a side hustle at the time, 6 months in, and it became a full-time job overnight, more than a full-time job, and really became something that I had to put a ton of time and effort into immediately and really start building a team. So, our sales probably 20x overnight, if not, wow. And so did the work. So the phone calls, the emails, the shipping, the personalization, everything just flooded in as well. And you don't see that part of it, but that's real. That's what business really is.
Well, it's like, look, it's probably like watching you when you're playing at Arizona or in the NFL, catching the pass, making a good run, scoring a touchdown, but not appreciating how much work and effort was put in to get to that point. And the same thing applies with being an entrepreneur. And I want to talk about balancing your work and your professional time with your family time, because I think that is a big stress for a lot of entrepreneurs right now, making that balance in a healthy way. But I also wanted to share with you that Bernard has purchased your ice shaker product. Yeah. So Bernard, that's awesome. I'm encouraging everyone to go out and get one. We've got my good friend Mo Lilienthal, who is a lineman out of Alabama. Great story. Love the grind. Hey, Mo, it's good to see you. He's also an Alabama lawyer. You have a lot of lawyers in Alabama that like you, Chris. What's going on with this? Way to go, Alabama. Someday they'll grow up and become Trojans, but we'll save that for another show.
Oh,
Trojans and Wildcats. Chris, Wildcat here, daughter went to UCLA and then USC law school, and my son's in his third year at USC. So I've got 3 schools playing every weekend. Every weekend I have a winner. That's usually what happens. And then when SC plays the Wildcats like they did, 2 weeks ago, it's not good because my wife is a diehard Trojan. So, it's like I gotta keep my mouth shut during those games. Let's talk a little bit of balancing work with family life. What tips do you have based upon your experience to date with, priorities, family, kids, making these types of live video shows, attending conferences, working on product development? What tips can you share with us and my audience to help them live a balanced life, but also be a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah. So the biggest tip, and something I didn't always do until recently, really the last couple of years, is, get a calendar and schedule your days out. That's huge. And kind of what I like to also, I guess, compare it to is when you have to study at the last minute for a test, you always get it done, right? You have that sense of urgency, and you find a way to know all the information or to get the work done at the last minute. Say you have a big project, you're finishing up those last sheets of paper, a couple hours before it's due. That's what a schedule does for me. If I put on there in the morning that by 10 a.m. I have to get this project done, I got to get this paperwork done, get this up on the website, whatever it is, I'm going to get it done by 10 a.m. no matter what. It might be 10 minutes left to it, but I'm going to make sure that it happens. So schedule's huge, absolutely huge. And, you also can put stuff on there like family time. Make sure that you do end it right at 5. Make sure you're not scheduling stuff after that so you can spend time with the family. And for me, I'm also a big morning guy. I like to wake up early before the kids wake up, and I like to get a lot done in that period when there's no emails coming in, no one's bothering me, no one's calling me. I get a 2-hour window where it's just crunch time, and I can really focus and get a ton done and really set up the day to be successful.
I love the fact that you talked about family and doing what you need to do when you have an opportunity to do it, right? You're doing things that other people aren't willing to do. And I think that puts you ahead on the success curve. I don't know if you've looked at any of my stuff on social. Have you heard my story about Mike the Milkman? His 3 keys to success. So Mike the Milkman's my father-in-law, Chris, 3 daughters, right? So we're pulling a ski boat out in the Mojave Desert. I've been dating his daughter for about 3 years. And I asked his permission to marry his daughter, right? He pulls off the road in the middle of nowhere, and he's a pretty big guy. And I'm like, maybe I just popped the wrong question, right, to my father-in-law. And he looks at me and he goes, Mitch, I want another son-in-law in the family, but do you know Mike the Milkman's 3 keys to success? I'm like, no, but I think I'm about ready to hear him, right? And he's like, number one, put your health, both physically and mentally, first. Unless you're healthy, you're not going to be any good to my daughter, my grandkids someday, or to your business. I had not yet become a lawyer. He goes, number 2, take care of your family. Take care of my daughter, your kids, put family first. And then number 3, take care of your business, your practice, your occupation. You keep things in that order, and you're going to have a nice, as stress-free as possible, happy, long life, right? Now, it's not easy. It's easy to mix those things up, especially like you said, when things are happening. But it's the best advice I've ever gotten. This is a guy that started off loading milk crates on the back of a milk truck, Chris. And when I met him, he owned his own dairy distributorship and retired at 52.
Wow.
I mean, just brilliant guy. And it's like, health first, family second, but you can combine the two, right? Obviously. And then number 3, take care of your business. And I think what you just said reflects what Mike told me 34 plus years ago. What did you learn? What did you learn as an athlete, whether it's high school, college, professional sports, that you've taken into your entrepreneurial journey to help you get by the rough patches, to help you make the right decisions, to help you hit the ground running each morning?
Man, that's everything. Those long, the hard work, the dedication, that was big. One of the biggest things I think I learned in college wasn't necessarily accounting that I graduated with, was, but what it was more of just how to really get things done on a schedule, kind of like I hit before. I mean, it's rough as a student athlete. You literally have something planned all day, pretty much every day. And a normal student, that's all they're doing is going to class. And to be able to be successful in school and on the field as well is a huge accomplishment. So I think I learned a lot from that. But probably the biggest thing you learn, and it was a little bit tricky for me to kind of figure out afterwards, but it's teamwork. As an athlete, you're so competitive and you bring that right into the business world. And for me, being an entrepreneur, I felt like it was my baby, and just felt like no one could do the work like I could do it. So got to a point where we were growing, but it wasn't really growing that fast because I was limited on how much I could do. And I was so competitive that I didn't want to bring in anyone to take over that responsibility from me. So kind of had to sit back and say to myself, how do Super Bowl teams win championships? And it's all about the team that you build and the structure. And that's what I had to start working on. So I had a lot of people come in and just, especially my dad, just keep telling me the same thing. Like, hey, if you want to grow, you have to build a team. You have to give that responsibility. You have to be a good delegator. You have to be a good leader, and you have to train them well too. So once you give them that, you can't just take it back. You got to let them run with it a little bit. And if they need some help, you need to guide them and teach them the right way to do it the way that you need it done. So that took a little while, and it was surprising that it took me that long because I grew up in a team atmosphere, and I was always part of a team. So it's that question where, would you let your kids play football? And I always say yes, because you learn so much more than just the sport. You learn really everything about life when you play football.
So, you and I, we both went to the University of Arizona. I actually graduated from Troy High School at the base of A Mountain, which I'm sure you're familiar with. A lot of good athletes have come out of that school. And playing football, I just got off the phone day before yesterday with my old quarterback, one of my best friends growing up, Chris. And you're right. There's a bond there that you have and you have for the rest of your life, a lot of life lessons. So applying those life lessons to building and developing a team, what things can you do to make sure you get the right people to be a part of your team? What questions do you ask? Where do you find your team members? What are maybe some mistakes you've made with, or some good decisions that you've made with picking team members? Because that's really hard. It's hard for me to hire young lawyers. It's hard for me to hire support staff members. Sometimes I go with my gut feeling, like, I really like this person. They're gonna kill it. Their people skills are really good. And then I realize they're not so great in what I want them to do. I made a mistake. What do you think? Do you have the silver bullet to fix all that?
I wish I knew that answer, and I wish I knew it sooner as well, because I'm with you. Hiring is tough. It's something I've never done previously to this, so I struggled with it a lot. And I tried to just get people that were friends or family members and try to put them in positions that they weren't necessarily suited for, and it hurt. It hurt them. They weren't comfortable doing it, and it definitely didn't work out. So now I really try to go for the right personality, the right fit for the right job. And then I also I don't put a huge emphasis on education. So if someone comes in, I value common sense a lot more than a degree, is how I look at it. Yeah. If someone comes in and they don't have a college degree, I'm not just going to disqualify them. If they come in, they hit the ground running, they're hard workers, and they're willing to figure things out. I think that is one of the best traits right now for people, is to be able to just figure things out on your own. We grow up in a world now where it's so easy to just ask questions, ask someone else to do it for you, that no one really digs deep anymore, and no one really just figures it out on their own. So when someone with those attributes comes across my desk, I'm like, yeah, please come on my team.
I love that. I love that. I mean, the answers are on YouTube. The answers are on Google right now. It's just taking the time to figure out how to do something. It's interesting. One of these sharks, I was watching an interview, Mr. Wonderful. I don't know if he was on your show?
He's my first offer. Yeah.
He was your first offer. Okay. But He was talking about the difference between, I don't hire people that I like. In fact, I want to hire someone that can get the job done and be part of this business culture that I'm building. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. Now that's Mr. Wonderful. My version's a little bit broader than that. I want to have fun along the journey. But I think there's some pearls of wisdom in balancing what works for you as an individual, right? Based upon who you are as a human being, what kind of culture you're trying to build, right? And what are your long-term goals? We're getting some great questions in here. Chris, if you don't mind, let me just kind of bounce between it. What is your favorite way to market the Ice Shaker company? And once again, you guys, we're speaking with Chris Gronkowski, the founder, CEO of iceshaker.com. Check it out, you guys. I'll share the link in the show notes. But what's been your most effective way to market this particular product?
Yeah, so we've done a ton of marketing through Facebook. Facebook has been a huge growth platform for us. And so we've stayed there. I know a lot of people do really well with Google. We haven't really had that same experience. We go to Facebook, we get creative, and we try everything you could possibly think of, and we run with it. So we've been super successful there. And, word of mouth is definitely huge as well. One thing that we're able to do that really separates us and really helps us with organic reach is the fact that we're able to personalize each and every bottle. And we also turn it around quickly. So we try to ship everything out within 2 to 3 days, even with customization. If it's 100 bottles or less, we can pretty much turn that in 3 or less days. So when you do something so well, people talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
The product arrives, it looks great, came quickly, and then it just spreads organically. So Facebook ads definitely get a ton in the door. And then other than that, or any kind of organic reach is going to be by far the best converting traffic and marketing you'll ever get.
You mentioned something about personalizing the bottle. I think I know what you're talking about, but for viewers that aren't familiar with the product or what do you mean personalizing the product?
So we can laser engrave each and every bottle with the logo, names, sayings, really anything you want on it. The only limitation is we don't do it in color. We used to print in color, and the bottle lasts so long, and it's a kitchen grade stainless steel, so eventually the print would wear off. So we laser engrave it. It looks better. It's high quality engraving, and we're able to do that, and we're able to do it quickly.
Love it. Alicia Kinchlow, lawyer out of Philadelphia and a good friend of mine, asked, how have you used your sports community, aside from A-Rod, which we talked about at the beginning of the show, to build your company brand? Great question, Alicia.
Yeah, so luckily, my brother has a huge reach for us, and he is part of the company now as well. So his reach is over 8 million, I believe he's at throughout his social platforms. And really any of the players that I've played with or that he's played with that show any interest at all in the product, we immediately just send him product. So we have all kinds of football players. My brother Gordy played in the minor leagues for baseball as well. So baseball players as well. And then we have a lot of friends that are wrestlers and stuff like that as well. So most of the time with the sports players, we just personalize them with their name or number and we send them out, and we just hope they use them. And people like taking pictures of athletes. So that's usually our best way to just get it out there and get people get eyeballs on it.
I love that. Thanks, Chris. Great question, Alicia. We have another question in addition to a bunch that I've got. How did you make the transition from selling, quote unquote, your personal brand to selling a product instead? I hope the question makes sense. You understand? I don't know who the user is, but it's a good question. I get it.
Yeah. So I mean, I definitely have a personal brand and a decent following there, and I definitely leverage that to help sell the product. What I do is I always try to do something that's value driven. So the last thing I want to do is throw the bottle up and say, buy this, right? I'd rather make a video about, hey, this is my protein shake that I drink after a workout. And this is what I put in it, and this is why, and give you some information that you can actually use, that you appreciate. And then you might say, hey, wow, that shake, he's right. I do need to do that as well after a workout. And man, that shaker looks pretty cool. So I got to grab that too. So that's kind of how I try to approach and try to bridge that gap. Because I was never a salesman. I was never someone that wanted to sell. I was super uncomfortable with it. So I don't like when people just throw it in front of you. It comes off super salesy, and you start throwing coupon codes and all that. And all the big dogs and the big influencers today. You know exactly when they're getting paid. So I try to do it as organically as possible, and always try to bring value at the same time.
Chris, I shared a post earlier this week that was pretty popular, especially for the lawyers in my community. And it talked about not using social media to market and sell, but use social media to build relationships, right? To help others, to share your story. You said you didn't have a big sales background when you were starting off. Where did you learn or are you learning right now, the art of communication, the art of persuasion, the art of making things happen? Is that something that you're focusing on now that you've got this company up and running? Because communication's everything, right?
Absolutely. No, communication's huge. And it's funny because I just recently really, when COVID hit and everyone couldn't go into the office, that's when you really begin to realize how important communication actually is. Right. And at that point, we actually had better communication than we've ever had before, because we were forced to find new systems and new ways to communicate. So you realize really quickly how important it is. And then I look back and say, how did we not do this before, before COVID hit? But persuasion wise, I've never taken any classes, and I wouldn't say I'm a great salesman or anything like that, but it kind of goes back to what you just said a minute ago. It's really all about relationships and bringing value to people. So if I start a relationship and someone reaches out and they say, hey, Chris, I love your workouts. Can you give me a tip here? And I do. I don't even ask for a sale at that point. Usually they just reach back out to me and say, hey, I did your workout. It was awesome. By the way, I bought a bottle. And that's kind of how I work. I'm never doing things just to try to get a sale. I'm just trying to help people out. And when you do, they always help you out as well.
Has your approach changed at all with COVID-19? I know with the practice of law, our courts are shut down. We're doing a lot more with live video and Zooms. And frankly, we're more efficient. We're getting more done because we're not driving in the LA freeways and waiting at the courthouse for 4 hours. We're getting things done like this. How about your company and your industry? What have you noticed the changes are when it comes to doing business as an entrepreneur in a COVID-19 world?
We've been super lucky. We were mostly online in the first place, but we also kind of became this essential product now that water fountains aren't a thing anymore. Every kid has to be a pool.
Didn't even think of that.
Absolutely. And the same with work. You have to bring a bottle to work for the most part as well now. So we've kind of become this essential product. And when COVID hit, we sold out of about 70% of our product and had to quickly restock. And it was tough, but we're geared up now and we're ready for a big holiday. But we're lucky because we're focused mostly online at that point as well. We are in retail. We are in Vitamin Shop, GNC, Lifetime Fitness, and others. But it wasn't a huge part of our business, so it didn't affect us greatly. But really, when COVID hit, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't think our sales were going to increase or do well. I mean, I thought like everyone else that we were, it was probably going to be a really tough period for us. So we immediately put a whole plan into action where we just started trying to think of ways to drive the most value as possible to anyone, to any of our customers. And that came with, reaching out to our partners like Lifetime Fitness and Vitamin Shop and asking them if there's anything we could do to help, with videos or workouts or meal plans or anything like that. And I actually reached out to Gold's Gym and I was featured on Gold's Gym underneath Tony Horton, the creator of P90X, simply because I reached out and asked them if I could provide some home workouts for them. So really the whole idea, let's provide as much value as we can in a time when people are struggling. And then when everything comes back, hopefully they help us out as well.
It's all about being proactive, right? Taking the initiative. I love that story about Gold's Gym, and I'm glad you shared that with us because it's all about taking advantage of the situation, maximizing your opportunities, being proactive, and make things happen, right? That's kind of, I think, key. Real quick, last question. I want to respect your time, although I'm having a blast, Chris. And listen, you guys, there's a bunch of questions, Chris, and what I'd like to encourage everyone to do is I want them to connect with you on social to get their questions answered. I'll have Chris share the best way to do that in the next couple of minutes, you guys. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube right now, my blog. So you guys have questions, ask them there, and I'll forward them to Chris or someone at his company to get them answered. You guys can buy his products over at iceshaker.com. Maybe start the digital dance, start that relationship that Chris is talking about. Why not start today? Let's talk quickly. Last question. I am a big fan of what you're doing on TikTok. I am a fan of TikTok. I'm a fan of all digital platforms. My kids cringe when they see me on there, Chris. But talk to maybe some of my older viewers who aren't really on TikTok right now about the different way, about why you're on the platform, how are you using it, which by the way is smart. I like what you're doing, and how someone can take advantage of that platform without having to sing or dance or do something else stupid like coming up short on a triple on the motocross track. There's other ways to use TikTok. How are you using it?
Oh man, so it's funny because I was on there for a while, and I probably had about 100 videos posted, and they got nowhere. I mean, I never had a video over 5,000 views in my first 100. I have a podcast called
Say that again, please, so people can be encouraged by this.
Yeah, so over 100 videos later, I think maybe one of them had a decent reach on it, but stuff I was doing similar to Instagram, was workouts, stuff like that, and it just wasn't hitting. And my podcast, Gronked Up, I bring on people that I think can bring value, and I try to bring on people I think will bring me value as well. And with that, I brought on a kid who's this TikTok expert, right? And
Okay.
he came on and he told the story, and he dropped out of college and he had no experience on social, and he started posting on TikTok, and he kind of just found his way. He found what he was good at, and he had about 600,000 followers. And he challenged me on the podcast and said, "Why aren't you on there? It's a great way to reach a ton of people, and you already have a great background and a great story. Why don't you tell it? Why don't you give them value? Why don't you tell them stuff that nobody else can tell them? And I guarantee you're successful." So with that, he gave me this 30-day challenge, and I did it. So I went from I had about 12,000 followers, which doesn't matter on the platform. It doesn't matter what you have. And I started posting things of value, things people didn't know about the NFL, about Shark Tank, really anything that I thought people would want to hear about and I could bring value with. I started talking about. And within 30 days, I went up to about 350,000 followers. I reached over 50 million people in a week at the peak. So just the easiest way to reach a ton of people for free. So why not take advantage of it?
Why not take advantage of it? What people really enjoy is when you pull back the curtain and show them behind the scenes. And you've done that with your playing career, with your entrepreneurial career. And I think people are interested in that kind of stuff. And we can all learn from it. We can learn from each other. You guys, my guest today is Chris Gronkowski, iceshaker.com. Make sure to pick up his products for the holiday seasons. Stay healthy, stay hydrated, and stay happy. Everyone, thanks for joining us. Make it a masterpiece. Chris, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Mitch.
All right. You're welcome.